Okay, let's be real. If you've been on the internet at all in the last few years, you have seen this book everywhere. Atomic Habits by James Clear isn't just a bestseller, it's a full-blown movement. So the big question is it really the life-changing manual everyone says it is? Or is it just some really, really clever marketing? Well, let's deconstruct it and find out. I mean, seriously, what is it about this book that has millions of people totally hooked? It all comes down to its promise, a framework for improving every day. And the best part? Not through massive, painful effort, but through tiny, almost invisible changes. It's a pretty appealing idea, right? But does it actually hold up? And believe me, the hype is definitely real. As book reviewer Rachel Lewis puts it, it's an interesting ride. It's been praised and recommended by countless people, all looking for what James Clear himself calls those easy and proven ways to build good habits and break bad ones. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by unpacking the hype, then we'll dive right into the book's core philosophy and its famous 4 laws. After that, we'll see how these ideas actually work in the real world. And, importantly, we'll explore a key critique to see if this is truly a one-size-fits-all solution. Then, we'll wrap up with the final verdict. First up, let's just take a moment to appreciate how massive this book has become. It's way more than just a self-help guide. For a lot of people, this is their manual for redesigning their entire life from the ground up. And the core promise is simple, but really profound. The book claims to offer this practical, science-backed system for making small, incremental changes that eventually lead to these remarkable results. I think it's that focus on easy and proven that just pulls so many people in. Okay, so let's pop the hood and look at the engine of this thing. What are the foundational ideas that really make Atomic Habits so powerful? You know, the name itself really holds the key. The word atomic is clever because it works in 2 ways. First, you think of an atom, an extremely small, tiny unit. But you also think of atomic power, a source of immense energy. So an atomic habit is both, a tiny change that unleashes remarkable results. And this brings us to probably the most famous concept from the book, the power of just getting 1% better every day. Clear argues that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. One little change today might feel totally insignificant, but you do that every day for a year, and that 1% improvement leads to a massive transformation. So here's a really crucial point. It's not about willpower having these big ambitious goals. Clear argues that our results have very little to do with the goals we set and absolutely everything to do with the systems we follow. For most people, that's a huge shift in thinking. And this lays out the difference perfectly. Goals are about the results, right? Running a marathon, writing a book. They're a temporary moment, a finish line. Systems, on the other hand, are all about the process, the daily run, the daily writing session. The idea is if you fix the process, the results pretty much take care of themselves. Okay, so if systems are the key, how in the world do you actually build them? Well, Clear gives us a really simple, memorable blueprint, the 4 laws of behavior change. These 4 laws are the real engine of the book. To build a good habit, you need to make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip the script and do the exact opposite. It's this beautifully simple framework, and it's all based on the science of how our brains actually work. Theory is great and all, but how does this actually look in the real world? Well, the most powerful way to apply these laws isn't about changing what you do, it's about changing who you become. This quote really nails that shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on an outcome, like, I want to lose 20 pounds, you start focusing on an identity. I am a healthy person. When you do that, every little action you take becomes a vote for that identity, which makes the habits much more likely to stick around. A great practical technique for this is something called habit stacking. You just anchor a new habit you want to start to one you already do automatically. So, like the Forward Fitness Review shows, you don't just randomly decide to meditate. You say, after I pour my morning coffee, I will listen to my Headspace app. You're linking the new behavior to an established cue, which makes it obvious and super easy. So far, it all sounds like a pretty perfect system. But like any framework, it's really important to ask, who might this not work for? And what can we learn from that? This is the key question, right? The entire model of compounding habits, of that 1% daily improvement, it all rests on a foundation of consistency. But what if your brain just isn't wired for that kind of steady, day in, day out routine? This highlights a really crucial perspective, one that was raised by reviewers with ADHD, but is relevant to anyone who finds consistency to be a battle. The book seems to assume we all have this baseline ability to just show up the same way every day. But for a brain that's wired differently, or hey, for anyone dealing with burnout or just a chaotic life, motivation isn't always on tap. It's context dependent. That bridge between wanting to do something and actually doing it can be pretty unreliable. So forcing a system built on perfect consistency can, ironically, just lead to feelings of failure. So what's the alternative? Well, it's not about throwing the book away. It's all about adapting it. This means giving yourself permission to be inconsistent, but still be persistent. It means focusing on getting back on track rather than never falling off. And it means building external support systems. Think accountability partners, coaches, phone reminders, to act as scaffolding for your habits, instead of relying only on your own internal discipline. So, where does all this leave us? Is Atomic Habits a life-changing manual, or is it an overhyped productivity guide? The truth, as it usually is probably somewhere in the middle. So here's the final verdict. Atomic Habits offers an incredibly powerful and practical toolkit. Its ideas about systems, identity, and making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying are valuable for pretty much everyone. But it should be seen as a menu of options to experiment with, not some rigid prescription that has to be followed perfectly. Its real value is in its principles, not in creating a perfect, unbroken chain of habits. And that brings us all the way back to you. The book's greatest strength is its focus on the immediate next step. So forget about trying to transform your life overnight. Instead, the real question is simple, it's actionable, and it's something you can answer right now. What is the one tiny thing you can do to be just 1% better today?